I am back with another reaction, Fistify of the song TFL featuring Johnny Three Tears from Hollywood Undead and Chris Voles from Flaw. So I've never properly heard Hollywood Undead. Heard about them quite a bit, know a few people who really dig them. I'm not familiar with Flaw at all, so I'm going to go into this with no idea what to expect, just the way that I like it. So I'm back and new and improved. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Follow me on socials, click the Linktree link in the description below. Check out my Patreon, also linked in the description, for bonus content and a way to request a song of your choice, and guarantee a reaction to it right away. If you're new here, subscribe. Give this video a like. Leave a comment below. Let's start a conversation. It would be so much appreciated if you do any or all of these things. It really means a lot, and all it takes is a couple of clicks. Alright, TFL, featuring Johnny Three Tears and Chris Voles. Let's see how this is. Let's jump right into it. Oh, I like that buried sound. Okay, I really like how the bass is carrying this part. I really like when a band remembers that bass on its own for parts of a song can be really cool. And it gives it kind of like a dingy sort of feeling, and I mean that in the best possible way. So I think that the way it started out was unique. I think that especially these days with rock songs, there's just so much out there, and so much of it is forgettable, that you really have to change up your sound in order to properly stand out. And one of the ways that you can do that and hook a listener right away from the jump is by having an intro, like intro meaning like the first few seconds, because that's the way our attention spans are these days. Like really grabbing the listener from the get-go, like from the very beginning, do something intriguing, something that feels different. And that's what this song kind of did. So points for that. So far so good, but we have barely started, so let's jump back in. Turn the volume up on this one. Those vocals. I like how they're complimenting each other. All right, that's a change up. Okay, here's what I like about this so far, vocal-wise in particular. There's a lot of like stylistic continuity so far in this song. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes when you get a song and you have guest vocalists, that vocalist can come in and they can be talented as hell, but it can still feel like they're bringing in some of their own music and sort of like it can feel a little bit disjointed, no matter how talented the guest vocalist is, because there's sometimes a stylistic difference to such a degree that it sort of feels emotionally at odds with the rest of everything that's happening in the song. This doesn't suffer from that problem at all so far. I think they're doing a hell of a good job with maintaining that balance where everything feels like it's on the same level, style-wise, emotion-wise. Like, you feel a lot of aggression in this song. That's like one of the main themes that I'm picking up on. And of course, you know, we'll get into the lyrics and see why afterward. But yeah, there seems to be like a very solid through line when it comes to the vocals in terms of where they're coming from emotionally. And I got to give them points for that as well. These guys really know how to craft a song. They really do. And that's another one of the things that makes a rock band stand apart from the crowd. All good things, all very promising things. Let's keep going.
She's got those eyes. She's got that touch.
And I dig this chorus too. That's an early 2000s sounding tune right there. Oh, I like this. This feels a little bit darkly emotional right here. What kind of change up are we getting?
Came crashing down. I can't believe that I let you in. I'm nowhere to be found. Pull the trigger again and again. You don't want me, you don't need me. Take a finger, sacrifice me. You don't want me, you don't need me. Take a finger,
Oh shit. That's running right here. You know, I just gotta say, like in the, I want to say early 2000s, like 2006, 2007-ish, I remember being in the car of a friend of mine and just like listening to Sirius XM, like, and proper good bands. Like, for example, Sirius XM, I think the station was called Heart Attack. That was like the rock station. And that is basically what introduced me to Hailstorm. So, like, I feel like I can picture myself listening to this song during that time period on that station. And I mean that as a compliment because this sounds... I also want to say, like, these guys have good production on this, too. So, I mean, if you're going to have a comeback, this is one hell of a way to do it, you know? And these guys have been on top ever since I started reacting to their new stuff. Like, I think that there has been consistent quality in terms of the production level, in terms of the emotion behind the song. There's authenticity here that is especially important to the genre of rock music today. Because there is such a, this might be a controversial statement, but I genuinely believe that there is, by and large, a lack of authenticity in a lot of popular rock. I feel like a lot of it is very vapid, and I don't feel that way about Fist of Five at all. I don't think they've ever done a song where I felt in any way that it wasn't, I'm going to use the word again, that it wasn't authentic. So I think this is like firing on all cylinders. This could be a contender for my favorite song by them, because it just has everything going for it so far. The catchy chorus, I really like the drumming on that one part. The guest vocalists are fitting in very well here. It all feels very seamless. Congrats on this one, guys. This is good. This is really damn good. Let's finish it up. Much respect to all the vocalists here. You're killing it. I really like the guitar right here. That's a nasty riff there. Okay, that was that was one hell of a song. You know, again, I want to give credit to the drumming because rock, I think, is tricky with drumming, you know, and I say this not as a musician, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is my opinion, that rock music is a little bit complex when it comes to the drumming, because if you go too heavy, you're kind of in like the rock / metal territory, and if you go too soft, sometimes you can't really deliver the punch that you want to. And it is hard rock that we're talking about. Although these guys also, you know, who cares about genres really these days anyway? But these guys seem to dabble a little bit in both, like rock and metal. But if you're doing like a mainly, you know, chorus-oriented song, and if you want to do a song that has a lot of emotion in it, it's tricky, I think, to navigate the drumming. Because you have to have a very careful balance, right? And I think this song did. I think that for the parts where it went really hard, so did the drumming in the best possible way. And it gave the feeling of like a lot of speed and yes, a lot of punch where necessary. especially toward the end there. I really like what the drumming did. Just the and the guitar did the same thing. Like, it kind of stylistically weaved in and out of the song. There were like thematic changes in what the guitar was doing and what it was providing for the music. There were like, there was a little bit of like hooky guitar where it was needed, a little bit of riffage, and a little bit of softer guitar during that transitional moment, I guess toward what you would say is the bridge of the song. So the guitar work was really good also. It's one thing to be able to really be good at playing your instrument. It's another thing entirely being able to know how to put your instrument in the overall structure of the song in a way that doesn't overpower the other instruments, in a way that contributes to the actual style of the song rather than take away from it. It's a tricky business, man. And, I really, I don't know, man. I think that if I were a musician, it would be a very overwhelming thing for me. Just being one member in a band, and you're trying to like make your particular instrument flow with the grand scheme of things. So it's very impressive when musicians pull it off like this, and especially in this kind of genre, because again, it's very easy, I think, to have a generic rock song. And it doesn't take much effort to do it. And I think that generic rock songs can just have like a catchy chorus and that's it. And they'll be successful, regardless of the actual quality. But this one, these guys deserve the success because this one actually does have the authenticity of sound and emotion. And again, I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but emotional and stylistic continuity throughout the song. Every vocalist contributed in their own way, and they made themselves heard. They made their uniqueness heard in terms of the voice, but without making it feel like they brought their band into it and made it feel almost contradictory to the sound of Fist of Five. It didn't feel that way at all. It just felt like the power and the emotional drive behind their vocal approach was in line with the band itself. So that's the best way that you can have guest vocalists really contribute to a song in a perfect way. So I'm repeating myself a little bit here, but I think those are really the highlights for me when it comes to this. And those are really the things that stood out. And maybe those are subtleties if you're not really listening for it. But they're important subtleties. They're important distinctions to make, I think. And again, those are the things that separate this band from the crowd of so many other bands. Like, all it takes is a look at YouTube or a scroll through Spotify or listening to one of the Sirius XM stations. And you hear some bands that really do stand out. They're really memorable. Like, they really feel that they have something substantial to contribute. And then you have other bands that just feel like they're a dime a dozen, they're forgettable. So I would say it's like 70-30 when it comes to those bands, with the 30% being like the real bands that like, they mean business. They've got the passion, they've got the fire, they've got the talent. And I would put Fist of Five in that 30%, Like, I'm rattling off statistics here like it's official, but you get what I'm saying, though. I really feel that these guys are very good at what they do. They care very much about what they do. And there is definitive substance to their music. And this song is no exception. So that's my opinion on the music. You know what's coming next, the lyrical breakdown. And thank you, of course, DJ, for providing me with the lyrics. Let's get into it. Smoke from the barrel, she can't miss. I feel her bullet hit. It seems I'm never enough. I hear the angels above singing till my dying breath. Night and day, love or hate, beautiful and ugly heart. Here we go again, bitch, I can't win. Come and get it, come and get it. Boom, she's got those eyes. Boom, she's got that touch. Boom, I've got the time. Take your best shot, trigger finger lover. She wears me down. Trigger finger lover, into the ground. Does me like no other, she ain't messing around. Trigger finger lover, I'll play the victim today. I wake from the dead, can't get her out of my head. Shaking from this pain I'm in, tequila's got me numb. The taste is still on my tongue. My fate strapped to her hip. That's a cool line. I'm gonna come back to that one. My fate strapped to her hip, break off another piece of me, a war with no enemy. It's that fucking dopamine, that trigger finger daydream. I try to look at you, but I look right through. I tried to run away, but that bullet went through. My whole world came crashing down. I can't believe that I let you in. I'm nowhere to be found. Pull the trigger again and again. You don't want me, you don't need me. Trigger finger, sacrifice me. So this is definitely dealing with a toxic relationship, right? Or really a toxic attraction. I think it's the idea of being physically attracted to someone who has no substance and who might be rotten on the inside. And unfortunately, that happens to be the case way too many times. Whether it's love or lust or both, those forms of attraction don't come with x-ray vision. You never really know who someone is until you've been with them long enough. And if you've already slept with them and are basically hooked and addicted, well, that's where the predicament in this song comes about. And it talks specifically about that feeling. It's that fucking dopamine, that trigger finger daydream. And before that it says, does me like no other, she ain't messing around. When I think about the lyrics, just the lyrics, this makes me think of the song from around the early 2000s, it would have been, the song Bad Girlfriend. Except that this is dealing with the matter in a much more realistic way, rather than how that other song kind of romanticized it. Like, this song is basically saying, it's a fucking situation, and it's wearing this person down and making him regret ever having fallen for her. And falling is a very appropriate word, because, look, sometimes falling for someone, it hurts like hell. If you fall for the right person, you'll know it soon enough. But when you start to feel pain that's too much to handle and that you know that you don't deserve, that's when it's time to question the nature of the relationship. See, that to me is the problem with hookup culture. And I'm not outright knocking it, to each their own. But if your way to enter into a relationship is to literally start with a hookup and act on lust alone, you're setting yourself up to get hurt. And thinking that someone is an ideal partner solely on the basis of how good of a lay they are is even worse. But I feel like that's the idea that's been adopted by my generation. I don't know about Gen Z. I'm just speaking for millennials. Not always, but, more and more often, I think you see people adopting this mentality. And here's the thing. If you actually have maturity and friendship forming the basis of the relationship, if you have those elements as the foundation, in other words, then the lust that comes after it is much more rewarding. Like, I don't think lust is bad. I don't think that, I think that if it's paired with love, that's when it works best. And the reason is because it's built on a deeper emotional connection. But in this song, he's already fallen into the trap of having let just her body alone define his attraction. And now he feels wrapped around her finger. He's caught in a cycle of repetition. Really like an addict, actually. Like, I firmly believe that you can be addicted to a person. And it's not healthy or hot the way people think. And the reason I say that he's stuck in a cycle is because it says, I wake from the dead, can't get her out of my head. Again, it's that dopamine hit, right? And probably an adrenaline hit, too. It revives him, it gets him excited, but later he'll come crashing down, when he gets a moment of clarity and sees her again for who she really is. And the next line is also pretty interesting. It says, shaking from this pain I'm in, tequila's got me numb, the taste is still on my tongue. So even drinking isn't able to relieve his pain or take his mind off her. It only numbs him temporarily. But I think this is basically showing that this toxic attraction to her has become his only vice, right? Like, even tequila can't satisfy him anymore. Only this person. And when he says the taste is still on his tongue, I think that's also referring to her. And that's a well-written line, because I like the way that it's paired with the thing about tequila. I think the way that line was arranged was cleverly done. I can say from past experience that some of the most toxic and manipulative people can come wrapped up in attractive appearances. But when you're attracted to someone's body, the thing to really remember is that their hearts and minds are part of their body too. Even though you can't see those two parts right away, they'll reveal themselves if you just give it time before jumping right into the relationship. Like, there are plenty of people who seem outwardly sexy, but have unloving hearts and devious minds. Why that combination is so common, I don't know. There's probably a lot of social and cultural factors involved. Maybe people who are always told they're attractive are more likely to weaponize their looks for their own benefit. There's probably not just one clear-cut answer, but it's an absolute truth that the most destructive people often come in disguise. And I also have to say, I like the way that this song wraps the gun metaphor around the whole thing. Smoke from the barrel, she can't miss, I feel her bullet hit. And I really like where it says, my fate strapped to her hip. I told you I would come back to that line. That's probably my favorite line, actually. So, like when you would strap a gun to your hip, she's linked him so inextricably to her that he's literally become her piece. Literally a side piece, probably. She owns him at this point. And she knows just the way to put her finger on his trigger. That might seem like a bit of an over-the-top metaphor, but it's actually pretty appropriate, and I think they executed it pretty decently. This has become so common, and lately it always seems like it's the male partner who's victim to this. There are many cases, including during these breakdowns, where I'm on the side of women, but it's just like an observation that I'm making, and this is based off of personal experiences and people that I see. Lust is a powerful thing. You'd be surprised how many relationships that are built only around that can last for a long time. Just one of many examples, I knew about this couple who were YouTubers, and his girlfriend did something pretty horrible. She did a bunch of horrible things, but this one was the worst. And he just kept forgiving her over and over again. And she kept treating him like shit, and it was pretty obvious that she was making him really unhappy. But people hang on because they're addicted, It's amazing how simple attraction can make people act against their own best interests, but it happens all the time. So, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. That's what I feel this song is tackling. Of course, the guys in the band can let me know how close to accuracy I came. But I think that's pretty much what the song is dealing with. And, it's a very relatable, sadly, kind of subject. So, as far as the music is concerned, they killed it once again. Again, this might be a contender for my favorite song by them. It's tough to choose, though. That's why I don't like to really list favorites, because it's just hard to pick, man. It is. But the point is that I really liked it. I'm glad that I checked it out, and I'm looking forward to anything and everything else that they release. Officially a fan, I think it's safe to say. So that's it for this one. If you guys made it this far, I really appreciate that. I know my videos run longer than other reaction channels, but as you can see, there's a reason and a purpose for that. So if you like what I do and you are new here, again, please subscribe. It means the world to me. It takes one click, and it would be so awesome of you to do. If you want to be even more awesome, once again, you have the Patreon option down below. If you want to, tier 4 on there. That lets you make a song request of your choice and get it pushed to the head of the line, guaranteeing a reaction to it right away. It's a good option. I recommend it. And also, again, follow me on socials, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. They'll all be right here. They'll all be linked below in my Linktree link in the description. That is it for this video. Much love and respect to the nuclear family, and I will catch you all on the next one.
Pull the trigger.